Can you join this?
We're live. We live. Yep. You're live.
Mike?
Mic check
Awesome.
1 2.
Mic check.
Yep.
All right. Right. Okay. We have a lot of you guys here. We got Jesse. We got Ian's assistant, and we got a few people in here ready for the objection challenges. All right. How do I put this speaker first? All right, cool. All right, so you guys are going to be in the objection challenge um, day today, and we have Jesse
Hey,
as part of our champions. So as you guys know, I don't know if you guys are how familiar are you still with school.com, but I want to make you guys very familiar very quickly, and essentially want to share my screen real quick here because if you guys are here, it's because you guys are part of the school REIpreneurs Mastermind, our free mastermind that we have provided for all of you guys, right? So in school, you're gonna be able to find master classes or events like this ones. And in this time, we actually have Jesse and Ian. Last time, some of you guys were able to meet them, and we were able to do a fun activity called the Objection Challenge. And we had Jesse against Ian, and they were just fighting each other basically on the field. One was a motivated seller, a homeowner that needs to sell their house, and the other one was a closer, an acquisition manager. So you're gonna find in Ariapreneurs real estate group this objection challenges, and this is what it says live right in here. So if you guys have submitted your questions for the objection challenge, then we're gonna obviously ask the questions in here. We're gonna go through the objections that you guys want us to cover. So I have a few ones in here. I also have a few ones from the Facebook group. We're moving everything to the Facebook group, obviously. So, America, can you help me here with technical issues?
Yes.
There you go. All right, cool. So we have Amir here in the back. He is part of Remote Latinos, and I don't know if you guys can see my screen or you guys saw my screen the entire time, but what I want to do is I want to make sure that everyone here gets to get some value out of this. Okay, and I think that we have a few objections and a few list of things or people that actually listed their objections, such as, hey, offer's too low. My house is worth more. Looking forward, rate is too low. I'm more than that. I want to do more than that. Or I have multiple offers, and honestly, like I feel like the other offer is was better, and so on. Like there's different objections that you guys actually submitted, so I want to make sure that you guys get the most out of this, right? So we have here, for example, we have multiple offers, all much higher than your offer. There's no way that I would accept that offer. I don't really do lowball offers. There's many different objections that come out as you either have a conversation with the homeowner or when you give them an offer, right? So we're going to cover those objections, and we're going to see two experts kind of like handle that in front of everyone. Okay. So, Jesse, how's everything going? Ian, how's everything going? I'm excited to have you guys in here.
I'm doing
Good.
great, man. Thank you.
I'm just getting over a cold, so my I've been doing coaching all week with a shot voice. I've been having the same. Anyone in sales now is familiar with the idea of the having the same repeat joke over and over again. So I've been swearing I'm not a heavy smoker over and over
Very nice.
again all week. But yeah, I'm here.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I want to make sure that speaker is in here. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Ian, Jesse, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. Give me 1 second. Right in here. I want to make sure that I can hear you guys. All right. If you guys can hear me, I can't really hear you because I have some technical issues here. But we're gonna have Jesse and Ian battle each other. Okay. I'm gonna insert a few objections in here in the comments. And actually everyone that is inside of this room, I want you guys to insert the objections that you guys want to be covering. All right. I want you guys to insert the objections in the chat, and we're gonna have Jesse and Ian go for it, and we're gonna make it fun. All right. So let's go about. We have this one. All right, so that's the first one. You guys can insert that in the comments below, right in here. Yeah, Ian is gonna go first.
Esteban, are you down? Are you down in Colombia right now? I'm assuming since Omer's next to you. They can't hear us. We can say whatever we want.
Since we can hear
How are you,
each other-
Jesse?
I'm doing great,
Yeah.
Ian. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I believe they are down in Colombia. That's what I'm guessing also, but from the remote Latino setup, maybe.
That must be it.
You didn't have COVID, did you? Just regular cold?
Yeah, I got a kid in daycare, which is just a disease factory.
Oh,
I've learned it's just sending a little kid to a place where they will collect all the diseases in Arizona and all the viruses going around and bring them back to you. So that's all it is.
Yeah, right on. Well, I hope you're feeling better. And
I'll be
continue to
all
feel
right.
better.
All right.
Thank you.
Esteban, are you
I don't know
there?
what's happening. All right. If you guys can help me, maybe you guys can start putting here a few objections. I'm going to insert a few objections here. So let me just.
All right,
come
I
in
got it.
here.
I got it. Hey, listen, Ian, thank you so much. That was a generous offer that you gave. We have already gotten several offers, and to be honest, they were higher than yours.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask why didn't you go with those previous offers?
We were trying to see who would give us the best offer.
Got it. So right now you're kind of in the offer collecting stage and just seeing who's going to say the highest number.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, these people weren't just saying it; they were sending us offers. And
So they sent it to you in writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And do you mind if I ask how much higher was theirs versus mine, just like in terms of round numbers?
I don't know if I want to give you that information.
Okay. But you want me to beat it, or I'm a little confused.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I was hoping you could just give me, your the best number you could. I don't know. I mean, we weren't planning on selling the house, to be honest with you. And then all you guys started calling and people started calling and we get all these postcards and then we got text messages and then my wife saw something and I guess she clicked on your ad. Just I don't know. I mean, we weren't, like I said, we weren't planning on selling it, but if we're going to, we wanted to get the most amount of money for it we can.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're not really in the business of making people sell their home if they don't want to. We'd be happy to have that conversation if that's something you're interested in. But it sounds like you're not even interested in selling right now. You're just sort of looking to see more or less what an investor would pay for it, kind of like an appraisal kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can get online, see what it says it's worth, but what it's worth is what somebody's willing to pay for it, right?
More or less, sure. So I guess the only thing I can bring up to you, because I don't want to waste your time. It sounds like I'm wasting your time.
Yeah.
Is that we buy as many houses as we can. We buy quite a few houses, and it would. We are rarely the highest offer that someone heard or collected, even for the people who chose to work with us. They still chose to work with us, even though we weren't the highest offer. If you had to sort of guess, Jesse, why do you think they went with us, even if we weren't the highest offer?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Well, some of the things they told us was that people had, we work with a lot of people who've maybe, been sent a piece of paper before that was like a page long that had some outrageous number on it, or people were making verbal offers on the phone. And one of the things a lot of people who have worked with us told us is that they were used to sort of the experience of being dragged along, and they liked the certainty of knowing that going with us, they knew they would be getting a check in 30 days. They could see it in their hand. It didn't matter if it was 10, 20, whatever thousand off from what someone else was saying. They liked the certainty in knowing that we were a company that was actually going to deliver on the number we said. We weren't trying to compete and just see who could say the highest or push that way. People wanted to know they would actually be picking up a check in 30 days. I don't know if you feel like that would be valuable to you.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. We've been down
Okay.
that road. We've been down that road before.
What do you mean by that?
You know, a guy, he came by, and this was 2 weeks ago. He came by and he gave us a good number, more than what we were expecting. But he was saying how he was kind of new and everything, and but he was excited about it. And then he said, what he could give us. I'll just tell you, he said he could pay 192,000. So we were like, look, if he can do it, and he was saying he'd close in a month and everything. But then when he sent us the terms of the sales sheet or whatever it's called, it was like all sorts of stuff on there where he could cancel at any time, like on the 30th. Like, I even asked him, I said, does this mean you could cancel on the 30th day? And he said, well, technically, yes, but he wouldn't do that. But then he said he had to check with somebody to see if he could buy it because it was more money than he had. I don't know. It just seemed like a nightmare.
It was starting to sort of give you the sort of icky vibe, it's rubbing you the wrong way. Like something's off here. This isn't really how selling my home should work. It sounds like.
Well, yeah, it was like, are you going to buy it or aren't you going to buy it? Like, because he showed up and said how he was going to buy it and he was going to pay cash. And then it's like, you send me this paper, and then it turns into, well, I have to see if I can get the cash.
Right.
And that didn't make any sense to me. And my wife just said she had a bad feeling about it.
And that's what most homers who we work with, that's what they're dealing with. Your situation is pretty common. And that's why people chose to work with us, understanding that theoretically it's not going to be the highest thing they would see in that way, shape, or form. That whatever the difference would be, depending on the home, from what someone else maybe says they can do or sends on a weird piece of paper with odd terms on it, that difference between what they offer and what we can do, that's the price you're paying for certainty, for knowing you'd be picking up the check for that amount.
And what are you guys going to do with the house?
I'm not sure yet. There's a couple options we could figure out. We always got different strategies. We would sort of figure it out once we're in here. We've got a couple things in mind.
Well, so
Does that matters to you because?
Well, just like, are you the one buying it, or are you like working for somebody to buy it for them? Like, how does it work? Like, do you just go around America buying up everybody's house you can, or what do you do?
We're not Rockefellers. I wish we could. I wish we could just go around buying every house up. Sometimes we partner with other investors. Sometimes we buy homes ourselves. It really sort of depends.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know off the top of my head exactly what my business would be doing for this. My job is just to have the conversation with you based on the number, and then whatever they end up doing with it. I mean, that can sort of vary. We can talk about the specifics of that if it's something you want to move forward with. But just a second ago, I was hearing you weren't even thinking about selling. So I don't even know if it's worth bringing out a contract.
I like the fact that you said, that, I mean, you haven't really told me why that you have certainty that you'd buy it, because you said you don't know if you always buy them or not. But, I obviously I'd want to look you up and make sure you are who you say you are. But I can tell you just from talking to you, it seems like you're a lot more on the ball than what the last fellow was, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I mean, listen, I understand the number that you gave me, but come on, you got to be able to do better than that. I mean, I just told you he offered me 192,000. Now, if you offered me that, I'd sell it to you, to be honest with you. But I mean, you're at 140,000. You said 135,000, and you'd cover my closing or something, which is a couple $1,000 value. So what's that, like 140,000?
We'd cover your closing. Yeah.
I mean, Zillow says the place is 250,000.
If it was all fixed up and sold with an agent, paid the commissions, sat on the market for a while, went through that process to get a bank, yeah, that's what you would get it for it. Potentially, excuse me, I have to cough.
Well, I mean, that's $100,000. It doesn't need $100,000 worth of work. I mean, you could come through here and spit shine this place up nice in a weekend, I'd think. Listen,
Okay.
I'll be honest. I'd like to sell it to you. You seem like a straight shooter. And if you're talking about all this certainty stuff, that's speaking my language.
So I want to make sure that I'm not doing what the other guys are doing and just saying stuff that sounds like fluff to you. It's sort of a waste of your time.
Sure.
What would you, and also your wife, because she also, it sounds like she got that same vibe before. What would the two of you need to see? I know you mentioned looking us up, see who we say we are. What else would you need to see to know that we could perform on the number that we say we can perform on? What would you want to see?
I mean, do you have any reviews or anything? Can I look you up on Google?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything else?
Who else? The other person I talked to said you've bought a bunch of homes in my neighborhood. The person before you got on the phone with me. What other homes in my neighborhood did you buy? Because I've been here for 20
I don't have the
years.
addresses memorized. I don't have the
So
addresses memorized.
You could get them for me.
I could let you know what properties we bought in the area. Sure. Yeah. Anything else you would need to see?
So, okay. No, I don't think so. But you'd have to
Okay.
be able to do a lot better on the price. Because, like I said, I don't care if we just keep it as a rental. It's paid off. So,
Okay. So if I can't do, I may be able to do a little bit better. I don't know. I certainly can't do 192 better.
yeah.
So realistically, if you were to help me out, if I'm going to have to go back and talk to them and try and fight for you, say like, listen, he wants to do this. He likes the certainty aspect. He wants to see reviews. I would have to make me, go through our records, make sure we get that list of properties. We can deliver all that to you so you can see what we do in the neighborhood. So we're transparent on our end. If I'm doing all that. Realistically, what would that look like for you in terms of what you might be able to do?
Tell them I want 180,000. See what they
Okay.
come back
And-
with. But hey, listen, I got to get going anyways because I wasn't planning on being on the phone this long. How about you just why don't you just give me a call next week sometime?
I'd love to be able to do that. I don't know if I'm going to have that type of availability to just sort of make sure I'm just giving you a ring sometime next week. It's always best for me so I don't lose track of this, and then you're not sort of getting lost in the shuffle to set an exact time to follow up with you. So I know you say next week. It's Thursday now. Would Monday work for you to set a time where you can check with your wife, make sure you figure out everything you would need to see, and I'll check on my end and see what we can do in terms of numbers, if there's anything we can do at all?
Yeah, that works. What time Monday? I work until 4.
Okay. What time? How long after 4, realistically, till you're home and not super still stressed out about work?
Just call me at 5. Call me at 5.
Okay. And if for any reason, just I call you at 5 and I just can't get a hold of you, how should I take that?
Or just leave me a message or text me.
I shouldn't assume that meant you went with someone else or anything like that. You don't want me to keep calling you. You're actually gonna make sure you try and answer the phone and we can have that conversation there.
Come on, man. I'm not some dickhead. Just call me Monday.
I'm not saying you are.
Call me Monday
Okay.
at 5. All right, and we'll touch base then because I gotta go.
Sure.
All right. Are you gonna call? Are you gonna call me?
I love that Jesse now
Yeah.
in hardball.
So
Last time was like nice Jesse.
I wasn't trying to be rude. I just didn't want to give him a deal.
No, that wasn't super rude. I didn't feel. I deal with rude all the time. That's not rude. That's just someone who's in a hurry. That didn't feel rude at all to me. It was a little hard as I didn't know what number I had said, so we're kind of operating off a weird because we're like we started off at the end right at an objection. It's like we're referencing things that are like, well, he said 190, you said what 135. I'm like, did I? I don't know what we picked. So I'm just sort of operating off imperfect information, but
Let's
I
just
did my
go with
best there.
that.
Sure.
One thing that I actually noticed from Ian, from the Ian ways of handling objections, guys, for everyone, if you guys have been paying attention, is that Ian seeks to actually understand and clarify what the person just said. It seems like that first attempt, and like he attempts to just clarify what the person said, what they mean. He asks questions like, what do you mean by that? and that's kind of like his first step. Am I correct, Dion, in here?
Sure. Yeah, there's a few things I did that some of you probably picked up on, and other things maybe thought like that's interesting, but what was I really doing? So like they're kind of three-ish things that I sort of was defaulting to that I showed there. Yeah, one is I'm always trying to sound curious, just have a curious professional tone. I act like I have $1 million liquid in the bank and I don't need to buy any individual house. So, and I have that sort of, I try and convey that in my tone while also not being cocky, being like, well, I'm happy to talk you through this, but I don't need this deal. No one ever accuses me of having commission breath the way they do that. I make labeling statements in a way that can be a little bit of extreme that have them correct me. So, for instance, it sounds like you're just trying to get maybe like an appraisal. Well, no, it's not that. And then my thing, I was just talking through this earlier this week. Someone was like, well, you were pushing in it. But I wasn't pushing, I was pulling. And what I mean by the difference of that is, even though I was sort of staying in the sale rather than pushing for a yes, I instead stayed in it but pulled back. Like it sounded like you guys weren't even thinking about selling. My natural inclination is viewing someone who's giving me some resistance. You can tell I have a kid with this. Is like trying to get a toddler, like a little kid, to walk across the room. If I stand all the way across the room, it's too far for him to go. I want to stand just close enough that it seems like a close reach, and he's stumbling after me. And as he gets close, I back up a little bit more, and then he can keep coming. So I'm staying close to him, and then if he stops and I'm getting resistance, I stop too. I stay there, and I do my best. And then if I have to, maybe I back up a little bit. That he starts moving a little bit more, and that's how I think about. I think about guiding a little kid trying to walk to get across rather than trying to push the sale. I'm sort of pulling away. So there are a bunch of ways I did that in that moment. I mean, wasn't particularly successful. One of the things that stood out to me was, I mean, he was saying they've been collecting a lot of offers, but then also wasn't even thinking about selling. When I hear that, if I hear someone wasn't even thinking about selling, I'm not drooling for that deal for most of the time. For most of the time, the way we buy houses, they had a reason to sell outside of they were just getting phone calls. So for me, when I hear that, my internal alarm bells start to ding a little bit. Now, it's possible he was just misleading me. He wasn't being honest, wasn't being entirely transparent. That happens all the time too. But that's why it's not like, oh no, this isn't a deal. But hearing someone tell me I have no motivation other than that I was being called makes me hesitant to think that the way we buy houses will work for this person.
Yeah. So okay, so in that case, how do you handle like, okay, yeah, man, like I've actually just was browsing around about how to sell a house, and I saw your ad, and I found out that you guys buy houses and wanted to see what you can give me for the house.
Okay. What about my ad stood out to you? What made you want to reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I saw you guys give cash, and that I don't have to use a realtor, because honestly, I prefer not to do that, and that you guys can close whenever I want to, kind of like in a very convenient way. So that was very interesting for me, because I had an idea that someone can buy the house that way.
Got it. So you were interested in it just because you hadn't seen it before, or is there some particular reason maybe that's unique to you or your house where that would make more sense than going with a realtor?
I mean, I don't want to work with the realtor 100%. Like last time, my experience was not good. They didn't do anything. They put me under contract and just didn't perform on anything that they said. I also used like a friend of a family member. That was kind of my mistake, but I definitely was just browsing like how to sell a house, and like what to do different, because I want to do a better job this time. And yeah, you guys popped out.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that getting that sort of convenience of that cash and close at any time means that it's not going to be the exact same cost that you would see for a home selling with an agent on $1 million lists in New York? Would you be surprised when it's maybe not going to be quite as high as you would see on some things on market for the convenience factor of that?
I mean, like my house doesn't cost $1 million, but I mean,
Sure.
I guess you guys said you guys will give a fair offer, so I
Sure.
get,
Yeah.
not gonna lowball me and everything.
the goal is not to lowball you, but we have to make adjustments considering it being cash. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because typically the people we've helped with, we worked in the past, they maybe had some reason to sell other than just sort of maybe didn't have a great experience with a real estate agent. We've certainly done it in the past, but oftentimes people had some type of other incentive or something needed to be done to the house that they didn't want to have to do or didn't have the money to do, or they just wanted cash because maybe something totally unrelated to the property. They saw some other home or they had some emergency come up where cash quickly would help them rather than going through the traditional process and dealing with what you dealt with before. So I don't know if that sounds relevant to you or not.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm interested because I definitely need to sell the house. I just, I just I just haven't found the way, honestly. And I don't want to
Gotcha.
deal with people that, they take advantage of others that I've heard
Of
some
course.
stories.
Esteban, when you say you need to sell the house, would you be willing to tell me just a little bit more about what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, man, I've been trying to play the tenant. I mean, the owning a house and getting rent, and I've been trying to play that game for almost 2 years, and I'm just sick and tired of that stuff. It's just having tenants is just a horrible experience. And right now, like I had to calm down and fix a lot of the stuff that they were doing, and right now I'm like living in the house, and I just want to take care of it, right? I don't want to lose the money that I could be making, and then also all that stuff that the tenant was they're doing. Just I had two straight tenants that were just not good.
So I got motivation out of you. That was the thing. That's what I would do. You said, what would you do if they said this? And I would do that to either get motivation, or if I didn't get motivation, I would continue to take baby steps away if they didn't give me anything and try and disqualify them so I don't waste my time. Or I mean, I'm pretty good. And the way I try and take away is, and some of this is done with tonality too, but the intention is to try and make it that most people, if we're connecting appropriately, will feel the need to want to come up with a reason to justify making that call. Like people will find it. Now, I might not believe that it's good enough of a reason to justify the price difference for what works for me and what could work for you. There's other ways we can potentially list this house, right? But like I always want to do my work that way to try and get motivation out of you. And so that started with someone who's, hey, totally generic. And I come with a curious mind and pull away, give some sort of third part people we've worked with in the past where some of these options. I don't know if that sounds relevant to you. When you say you need to, would you be willing to tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that? Just hammering them until you reveal some motivation that theoretically me as an investor can go, oh, that fits the criteria for who I work with. Now we can start advancing the process forward a little bit more than simply somebody filled out a form online.
Yeah. So what kind of Socratic questions are the best to kind of use at this, at this time? Like whenever you see someone, whenever it's hard to get motivation out of them.
It's hard to give just like an exact list of questions. I teach like certain techniques to get someone to open up with the goal of trying to understand motivation. So it's hard because it's not, in my experience, this aspect, getting pain, negative motivation out of someone. I'm trying to distill it to a science. I have not figured out. It's an art as far as I can tell right now. It's not, there's certain benchmarks and rules within the art, but I can't just be like, just do X, Y, and Z and it always works. Because I was just doing a call review on Wednesday with someone who was more or less asking kind of the right question. It just wasn't working. His tone wasn't there. He was stuttering in a way that it wasn't working for the person in the call review. And so it's not a science. There's an art to it. So it's hard for me to give just a list of questions. Most important is to understand what you need to know and then doing your very best to try and extract that through a couple things. I love extreme statements to get someone to open up because people are less likely to, they're more likely to lie to a question, answer to a question than to let an incorrect statement lie. An example of that, trying to figure out timeline. It sounds like you probably want to get this done by Christmas. most people aren't thinking, I mean, it's February. Most people aren't thinking about getting something done by Christmas. For some reason, that statement, people can't, they feel the need to correct you and be more accurate on the timeline. That's a way to get someone to open up. I'd love lock-on questions. So if you say a bunch of things, I would say hone on a certain part of it and say, I heard you say you need to sell the home. Which one of your needs are most important to deal with first? Right? Like, let me lock in on one part of a thing you said. And I'm looking, my using active listening to look for words and phrases that reveal a need or a struggle or a pain or an emotion in some way. Those usually to me are worth locking onto. That's why I look onto first. After that, maybe look up buzzwords that I know, like roof, something with the foundation, are other things to lock onto to get them to open up more about. But my natural thing I'm looking for are words that imply some type of struggle. We've been looking at this for a while, but we haven't found it. Yeah, with what's going on in the market right now, I don't know if it makes sense. There's things implied in that. There's negative associations that I look for things like that and then start digging and making statements and asking questions around it. I don't have just ask these 3 questions. It's a whole process.
Yeah. No, I love that you said that it's an art rather than just a science. I feel like
I wish I could make it a science. I feel like I'd be a billionaire overnight if I could actually figure out how to make it a science, but I haven't quite gotten it down yet because I was in that community I was doing this call review with someone who was the question, like, I described it to him. It was like, if you watch someone swing a golf club, I'm not very good at golf. I like playing golf. I'm not good at it by any stretch of the imagination. To me, I have no idea when someone swing if that was a good thing or not outside of something outrageous. And so he was like, his motion seemed right. I understood everything about the motion, but it just didn't land on the green, right? It's the nuances and the minutia there. And to me, a lot of the stuff especially about the pain of someone's motivation, there's more art to it than that.
Yeah. Guys, I want to take a pause real quick here because I want you guys to hit a fire emoji in the chat if you guys thought that Ian and Jesse were great, because I want to do more of this, right? Like, this is supposed to be something that you guys learn the frameworks of just handling objections or pre-handling objections before they ever come out, right? Because like that's the best way of doing it, pre-handling objections. And just by doing these games, like, we're gonna learn a lot. So fire emoji. I also want to send you guys here, like, so when we talk about how sales disruptors have like a special deal for you guys, is because it's very special. Like, you guys are not gonna get anywhere. You guys are not gonna get something like this anywhere else, where it's only $97 a month. You can pay it for your team member or pay it for yourself or for both, and literally just have training almost every day. Like, I don't know, I don't remember how many times a day you guys have training, but if you guys don't know how to manage a team, you don't know how to potentially like train your team member or train yourself, like Sales Disruptors, they have this thing in WAP, and I sent the link right in there. It's only $97 a month. It's kind of like a steal, all right? It's kind of like Christmas is still here, and it's been a month and a half after. I'm telling you guys. So I put the link in the comments below there. But before that, I also want to make sure that Jesse gets his turn a little bit. I want to see how Jesse does some Ian objections. And like I know last time he was first, and we caught him off guard, but I want to see how he handles a few of them. All right. So
Can I say
just
something first?
go for it.
So just a couple things. One with Ian, with what Ian did, I thought it was amazing. He did an outstanding job. And I hope you guys noticed that. And the thing that struck me about it was, questions control a conversation. And he stayed on offense the entire time and kept me on my toes, but he did it in such a kind tone and at the proper tenor that was kind of like his secret sauce, is that he sounds empathetic in his voice and he's asking all the curious questions, but it's making me have to backpedal as the seller over myself over and over and over. And that was why I was like, all right, just call me later, see ya, was because that is what happens though. Sometimes when you're on a live call with somebody is you start to ask so many good questions that they have no other option because they're not maybe a serious seller or something like that. But I just thought he did an amazing job.
Yeah, that was great. Jesse, you
Appreciate
ready?
that, Jesse. Appreciate that.
So we have
So-
objections.
I have an idea. Instead, because here's the thing that I see on the weekly calls. Even though we constantly talk to people about learning the script and things like that, I'm going to try and make myself sound really kind of brand new. So I'm going to kind of try and almost butcher it and try and stay in there at the same time. And the reason why is because I would like Ian at the end to be able to kind of dissect and point out to you guys where I, as a brand new salesperson or a brand new acquisitions person, kind of started to fumble and make some mistakes. So if it's okay with you, Esteban, I think that would be a good learning thing for everybody.
100%. Dude, I
Okay.
want you to make mistakes and then Ian can catch them, pause, maybe like say something, and then you can correct yourself. I think that it's kind of like doing a role play in real life and a training in real life. That could be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi,
Sure.
hi, is this Ian? Or Mr. I'm
This
sorry,
is
Mr. Ian?
so we can stop right away. All right. So first off, we'll start right away. Give me something real easy and juicy at the start. So my favorite thing to do is to assume like you know the person, at least in your tone, not in like lying. I know you, but sound like you know them because when your friends call you, but my friend calls me and doesn't go, "Is this Ian?" And I'm like, I know this is someone I don't know, and you're running the risk of just getting hung up on, not even getting a chance to have a conversation with someone. So easy. That was a softball to start off with.
I was doing that intentionally. All right.
I know you were. I know you were.
Guys, the proper way it should go is if I was calling, it would be, "Hey, Ian, what's going on, man? How are you?"
Exactly.
All right. So again, trying to dummy it down though to what we do when we're brand new folks is, "Hi, Ian. Wait, Ian, my name is Jesse. I'm calling from Premier Home Solutions. You had filled out Facebook of a card on Facebook that you wanted to sell your house.
Yeah, I don't really remember doing that. I don't think.
Oh, okay. You live at 125 Main Street.
Yes, that's my house.
Okay. So we're looking to buy some homes in your area, and you don't have to, like, there's no obligation. I'm sorry, my name was Jesse, and we're looking to buy some homes in the area.
Well,
All
I'm not
cash.
interested. I'm not interested. Please take me off your list.
Oh no.
By the way, it's okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Goodbye. So, Jesse's heard plenty of people because that's a very realistic beginner call. So, I mean, I would love to like just thinking about someone because man, I can tell you listen also to beginners a lot, Jesse. Because that's like I was like, oh man, I've definitely heard that last week. For the people watching, think about how different I sounded versus how Jesse sounded being that new person. Like just how different we sounded. Not just the obvious transcription of the stuttering, but the intention, the tonality of the words he was saying. Like he sounded uncertain. He didn't know what he was doing. He was nervous. He also didn't ask me, other than that, I was my property. He didn't ask me any questions. He was telling me about what he did. I don't know this company's name. Like this doesn't mean anything to me. It was all about him, done with lack of certainty. Talking, hey, no obligation. It's like, oh man, this just sounds like a terrible sales call. Like someone who wants to sell their home who wants to sell their home for 50% on the dollar will hang up on you if you sound like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so and that was kind of the reason that I did it, was because I see so many people that are like, "Oh, I don't get any motivated leads in. I don't get any good deals." And then it's like, "All right, no problem. Let's review the calls." And it's, hi, Ian, do you want to sell your house? How much do you want for it? Cash. I'll pay cash. No, oh, that's too much. All right, thank you. And they're like, see, no good leads. Do you mind going over, Ian, with everybody? How do you start your call? Like if I was
Sure.
the homeowner, my phone rings and hello?
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, this is Ian.
Oh, hey.
Hey, I'm sorry. I probably caught you at a bad time.
No, what's up, man? No, I just got home. What's going on?
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, Ian, Ian, who are
Ian
you?
Ross. Ian Ross. Yeah, sorry, that's about that. The reason for my call today, Jesse, I have been trying to get a hold of the owner of this property on Main Street, 125 Main Street, but that's probably not you.
No, I own that place. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you do. Okay, well, the reason I'm calling is pretty simple. Are we doing a cold call? It depends. If we're doing a cold call, there's different things I could do. So it's like it's a cold call, it's asking a question. If it was a warm, you filled out a form or you spoke to my partner. But that's the way I start a call. So I've got
Yeah.
all it. One thing I do that not everyone does. I always say my name as a question, and it's a pattern interrupt that confuses them. It's like you can even see Jesse be like, "What the heck is that?" Like, and most people do that. I love to assume I probably caught you at a bad time, because then the person gets to say no as permission to continue on. And if they say it is a bad time, there's two options. If they just say it's a bad time and don't give me a reason, I just continue. Like I assume, yeah, it's 6 p.m. on a Thursday. I figured you'd be busy, but the reason for my call today, and just continue on. I just acknowledge the time and continue on. If they give me a really good reason, like I am busy, I'm in the waiting room at the doctor's office. I'm about to get called back. We don't have enough time to do a call. They give me a reason. I would say, oh God, it's last thing I want to do is distract you when you have to do that. If you were me, when would be a better time like today or maybe tomorrow you call back to get a hold of you? If you or me is a really key. We found that we get way more open responses with some weird little, I don't know, that's one of those like magic things that helps people give a more accurate time than just when should I call you back? So that's like sort of the natural flow. I love the reason for the call today. I heard someone I'm actually about to have on my podcast, critique the reason for the call today because it is kind of salesperson speak, but I love it because it explains the reason, especially with saying my name as a question. And I do a kind of like the tonality thing of like dropping my voice a little bit. I always lean forward, whether there's a camera, I'm on the phone. It's create a little intrigue. I call that tone the golden gossip. I got a golden piece of gossip to give you. You're not going to believe how good it is. I use it if I want someone to like lean forward as well. I got something I'm about to tell you. So that I would do that. And like the reason for my call today, Jesse, I have been trying to get a hold of the owner of 125 Main Street, but that's probably not you. Again, turning in because, especially in terms of this outreach, people are less likely to let an incorrect statement lie than just answer the question. So I'm just trying to double down on that best practice. And so instead of asking, is that your property? I like to say, that's probably not you. And I imagine an ellipsis at it to trail off to let them correct me. That's my property. What's this about? So that's the initial start of the call. And it's more or less that way every single time.
That's great. Yeah, and the only thing I was going to say for people that are doing that would obviously be like more of a cold call situation. There's a lot of different ways that you have leads coming in. Sometimes an answering service, sometimes you're doing outreach from digital marketing, things like that. Do you notice a big difference in your initial conversations with people if it was like a web submission form in how you teach people to interact with those people? Because and the reason I ask is, for example, with Hessel, the CRM is sending out automation already for the clients. So as soon as the person submits the form, they're pretty much getting a text message right away. And if that person is interacting positively with the text message, they may or may not have set up an appointment. But either way, sometimes just through automation, it'll get to where the person's like, yeah, give me a call now.
So the only adjustment, there's two options. If one is like scheduled appointment is different than says, yeah, call me at some point. I'm interested. And I'm calling maybe 20 minutes later. If I'm calling 20 minutes later, The only variation might be I've been looking for the owner. I wouldn't say that. Like I would use the reason for the call today. You responded to a text about your property on 125 Main Street. I really hope that's still your property. We do some sort of equivalent, but some slight adjustment there. If it's a scheduled call, then it would be like, the reason I'm calling today, we had set to have a time, is now still an okay time. That's when I'm asking a yes question, just because if they set the time. Is now still an okay time, or is it a bad time now? I might do something like that. But other than that, the principle of my tonality is I try and I haven't found that the tonality hurts me for a scheduled appointment to do it. And that's why the way I define a best practice is it doesn't hurt me for the instances it's not effective, and it works on the other ones too. So I might be a little bit less extreme and performative of it if it's because it's not, stakes aren't quite as high for a scheduled call versus a cold call, but more or less it's just like the volume turned down rather than a massive difference. The words I say could be slightly different depending on the reason for the call or if it was scheduled or not, but the opening is pretty similar if it's a sales interaction for me.
Can I do one more thing with you, Ian? I know we're getting
Sure.
long in the tooth here. So this time I'm going to try and role play it. I'm going to try and be a little bit more on top of my game.
Okay.
But I'm going to probably come off like I'm over talking the situation, kind of as a cold call. And I want you to interrupt me if you can and kind of point out where I should be shutting up and trying to ask more provocative questions rather than just talking my way through the script. You understand what I mean? Like instead of asking you questions, I'm going to be making a lot of statements. And if you could just, stop me and point out.
I'll raise my hand, but
whatever.
Sure.
So
yeah, sure.
I'll be the caller. We'll act like it's kind of going off a cold call thing. It's funny that what you say, because I say a similar thing, which is, hey, you've probably gotten some mail from us. We've sent out a couple postcards, and I sent a personalized letter 2 weeks ago. And then I just kind of roll into the same thing with like why I'm trying to get a hold of the person. But so again, I'm going to try and act a little bit more polished and professional, but lacking on the questions, you guys. So when Ian answers the phone, it would be, hey, Ian.
Yeah, hello?
Hey, Ian, it's Jesse. Hey, how's it going, man?
Good.
Awesome.
Jesse who?
Bush.
Okay.
I had sent you a couple of letters and a postcard.
All right. What about?
You still have the property at 125 Main Street, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I have been trying to get a hold of you. My name is Jesse, like I said, and we're with the Creative Real Estate Group. And we were actually reaching out to some of the people in the local area because we recently got a few properties in that area and we loved it so much. We actually were trying to buy a few more. I understand you might have not been thinking about selling anything like that. But when we were able to actually come up with some offers for some of your neighbors, they were so impressed. They loved it and they ended up deciding to go with it. Do you have a few minutes to talk real quick?
So I'll stop you there a little bit, not too long, but a little bit too long. I would want us that early in a call. You want it to be more of a dialogue. It's right. It's real close because it's not crazy long. It's just like maybe a sentence or two too long because we want them talking more often. So usually did you not get, my thing is to ask a question that makes it did you not remember seeing that postcard? Some people maybe throw it out with other mail, try and get more back and forth interaction, even if it's just a buy-in about anything about the lead. That ring a bell. You probably weren't thinking I was calling. Something there is my only sort of, because tonality is perfect. That's your actual tonality because it sounds good. But just one more, let's do a little bit more of a volley back and forth that early on in the call to make sure they're brought in the conversation. Other than that, yeah, good so far. So sorry, what was the question you ended on?
Do you have a few minutes? Do you have a quick second to, I'm not sure how I said it. Do you have a quick second to chat? Do you have a quick second to chat?
I got it. I got a second. Sure.
Okay, awesome. So again, Ian, my name is Jesse. We're with Creative Real Estate Group here in York, Pennsylvania. And we look to buy properties for one of a few different reasons. The first one is we love buying properties where we can do some value adding. Go ahead.
Already, I would stop you.
Yep.
So a thing I would always want to do if you're going to go into, people call it the value proposition, the 30-second commercial, whatever what we do. I always want to get permission to present it, because it's the natural back and forth. So like a thing I train people on was like, I can tell you what we do real quick if you want to hear it. And people go, okay, sure, or shoot, what is it? Just because I want to make sure it's more engaging. Just so it's literally like, imagine I want the speaking, especially early on in the call, to be, it was, Abraham Lincoln famously, he purposely wrote with a quill so that his sentence would start to dry out. He had to dip it into ink because he wanted to make sure he wouldn't have too long sentences. He'd have to stop himself. It's kind of like the same approach. If you're talking for too long, where it's like, all right, I have to redip the quill, you should probably make it their turn to talk. That's especially this early on in the call. So that's my only thing. Like, I would ask for permission to then tell you what we do if you want to hear it. Sure. What is it? Okay. What do you guys do? And then I'd go into what you said. So that's it.
Awesome. Again, I agree with everything that you're saying. So
I know you do.
Yeah.
To everyone in the group, Jesse is performing. This is not me critiquing Jesse. It's Jesse's performing, just to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
well
gonna
aware.
say, like, I'm in agreement with him 100%. Okay. So do you want to hear what we do?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'll make it quick. We look to buy properties for a couple different reasons. One is we try and buy stuff that we can, add some value to, maybe make look a little nicer, improve some things. And then we resell it off to families, starter homes, family homes, single folks need homes too, right? The second thing we do is we'll buy properties and we end up fixing them up, and sometimes we keep them for like long-term and short-term rentals. And then the third thing we'll do is sometimes we just get so busy and we have like other investors that we work with and they end up choosing to buy it from us. But either way, you get the same amount of money, like whatever we agree on today. I hope that
Okay.
Ian's going to critique me there because I'm delivering that extra sloppy.
Yeah. I was going to say so two things. First, it's a little long, and just in principle, like more words than needed to get the point across. It's still also all about you,
Yep.
rather than how it relates to me. So, for instance, but because I could tell you more polished because it's that same sort of like, think about the rule of three. Here's the people we've helped with. The version I did that is like, hey, the people I've helped in the past, that we worked with in the past, they told us it was this. So still trying to make that same point. That's like the version of the same thing. It's like, I wanted that type of sales line of like, here's a thing you can imagine that could be relevant to you. But instead of like, here's what we do, all right. Instead, it's like, hey, when we've talked to other homeowners, they told us we help them because we help them solve their problems with this. We help, like, because most homeowners, some people might like the idea that it's getting handed off to like a family and not to a market thing. But if you could tell them, okay, this is going to go to a hedge fund, but you're going to get paid a little bit more, or do you want to get paid less and have it go to a single family home? The vast majority would care so little about who it gets handed off to rather than the amount they could make anyway. So for me, being the first value point for what you do probably doesn't make sense that early on in the conversation, because it's just not going to feel relevant to my needs. So I would probably rephrase it around like, hey, the homeowners we've helped in the past, they were going through something. They didn't want to do any work in the home and they wanted to and sometimes we've helped them in the past, like hand it off to other investors. Either way, they got paid the same amount. And what the things they liked about it was that it was simple, it was easy, and they didn't have to pay a commission and didn't take a long time. Like thinking about everyone loves the phrase like sell the sizzle, not the steak. Jesse just described the whole menu.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, no, there was no sizzle there.
It's cold by the time you're getting it. And
yeah, exactly.
The other thing I was going to say, guys, is that I've noticed personally, when people phrase it in that, rather than trying to create why why you are of value to that person, because, these are what our past clients or, people that we've worked in the past have told us that we can offer this, this, and this. When you go at it from more of a, this is what we're doing, we buy them for flipping and we hold them as long-term, that type of stuff. I personally think that it gives off more of a money focused mindset. And it makes it a lot easier to lose control of that situation and lose a personal connection with the seller, especially if they're a motivated seller where they're genuinely having an issue or a problem going on, because they're going to look at you as just, this guy doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about my issues. He's just trying to get the property for as cheap as possible. Whereas with a little bit kinder tone, the appropriate questions, you're going to be able to steer and control that relationship so that they feel like you are solving the problems and you're the answer to their prayers, and you're going to still get the same price usually, if not better.
And even a negative unintended consequence that could happen for some people too. Most people will probably think what you think, like so money focused. This is just a transaction to them. This is nothing. You even run the risk of someone thinking, because you're so money focused, of them thinking, oh, they hear investor buying property, doing all this stuff. They think you have unlimited funds, and that you're like, they imagine someone being like, how much for your ranch? You're like, it's not for sale. Just say a number, 9 million. Check, done, get out of my house. They think of like, they might even, you run the risk of a mismatched expectation of them thinking you're actually going to pay above market value when you're talking so financial institution focused rather than people focused, problem focused, what's actually going on with them, problems we can help with that we've sometimes helped people with in the past. Like you're just setting yourself up for all the wrong things.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up this week, right?
Yeah,
I'm good there.
This was great. If you guys found fire in this role play objection challenge thing, drop a fire emoji. Guys, invite people to this. All right, please just invite people to this cool group. It's for free. You guys know it's for free. We're trying to create the best value-driven free mastermind. Also, to give you guys a little bit of context, I'm also going to be offering a business, like a weekly. I'm going to start weekly, and let's see if it's too much or not, but like we're going to be doing a weekly hot seat. All right, for 20 minutes, you're going to present your quick business, and we're just going to do a hot seat. Tell us where you are right now, where your business is at, what your challenges are, and give me 2-3 challenges. And we're going to have a few experts in the seat, and then we're going to tell you what you're doing wrong and what you can do better. And that's going to be for this mastermind. So again, if you guys like this, Jesse Bush is inside of our Hustle Media community, and he does it every single Wednesday, right, for us inside of the agency. And Ian does it for sales disruptors. So if you guys love this, again, super accessible. Either come in here every Wednesday, get the value, plus train your team, train yourself for just $97, or even join Hustle Media as well and have Jesse just literally going at it. And yeah, follow Vivid Selling and follow Jesse Bush. Give them a shout out, guys. Like literally, just take a picture and tag them on social media right now. I want you guys to take a picture and just tag them on social media, and because like what they're doing is honestly, I'm gonna do that.
I didn't think anyone would catch that in time. That's why I wanted to see if someone would grab it. It'd be funny if that pops up.
Ian, can I ask you a question? This is Jose Jacob from Cash Buyers. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yes. When I went to your website to sign, I saw a space there to put promo code. Do you have any?
No. So right now, unfortunately, I don't. I wish I did. That'd be awesome. Unfortunately, the only promo code I have is for internal team members that have it all for free, so they can access it. We don't give discounts on the community. Yeah, good question though. That's a hey, you only get it if you ask. That's a great question.
For $97, for $97 a month, like that's beyond value.
That's the point. That's our goal.
I'm going through like 2 or 3 tanks of gas a week at like $130.
I was just confused, so that's why I asked.
Fair enough.
It's fine. Absolutely, man. But you're gonna sign up?
Yes, I'm going to sign up. Yes. Awesome. It's worth it. Definitely worth it.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right, guys. See you next week on the objection challenge, and I'm gonna the hot seats. So just be looking at that. Okay. All right, guys.
Oh, before I sign up, let me ask you a question. Ian, can I ask you one more question, please?
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Are you going to be the trainer, or are you going to give me the bottom of the person that is?
What was the question?
Are you going to be the trainer or somebody else?
No, it's me. I'm in the community. I do 3 calls a week. It's about to go up to
Oh.
4. So
Great.
it's me. I've got one tomorrow at what time zone are you in? Long Island, I see, right? So you're on the East Coast. The
East
one
Coast,
tomorrow is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Because it's just a role play session. It's basically what Jesse and I just did. We just do that for an hour every Friday. People just come with their scenarios and we just role play together. Like I do 3, about to be 4 calls a week.
Ian,
Great. Thank you.
also, Joe's, just to make sure you understand, you're getting access to a whole community. It's not just Ian's training 3 times a week. There's other people that will be doing training on how to pull and clean data. There's one person that's on how to hire a virtual assistant or you know, a virtual team. There's all sorts of different things. So you're getting access to the entire community, not just to one person's training style technique, but rather the entire library.
Yeah, thank you,
Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah.
So it's
Good.
a very cheap club access to get access to movers and shakers that can actually make an impact in your sales strategy.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys.
Did you
Appreciate-
sign up yet? We're looking, we're watching it
Going to be-
right now. We're
going
waiting
to be-
for you to put in
you're
your
good.
card.
Going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning.
Oh,
right.
break
Thank
my
you,
heart,
guys. Thank
Jones.
you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.